Were there times you had to settle for less just because your expectations weren't met? Are you like me that used to have an imaginary list in my head of how I envisaged my career path, the spouse I wanted to end up with, and my future in general to look like? But unfortunately, you find yourself striking off most of the things on that list because realistically, these things are far-fetched. In this video, my friend Aniekan, who is the host of Pardon the Interruption podcast, is going to be telling us the need to prioritize our expectations and when it's okay for you to really let go of some of these expectations. I'm particularly excited about this one. Hi, Aniekan. Yeah, you can talk. Oh yeah, talk.
Okay, let's talk. If you put this in the video, unless you're full time, be here. My name is Aniekan, and I host a podcast called Pardon the Interruption. But my name on the podcast is Skywalker. Now the podcast is really about the little in-betweens of life and thinking. I realize that a lot of the things that we become, a function of what goes through our minds and stuff. So I like to explore ideas around compassion, consideration, time, balance, things like that. So see, let me be honest with you. There are different metrics in terms of figuring out what standards you should have. So if it's career-wise, I think that a lot of times it's not necessarily very important to have a standard per se, because you're just starting out in the business. You're just starting out, in your career. Or rather, maybe I should put it this way: if you're just starting out in your career, having standards is not necessarily that important per se. I think once you're sure of what you want to do, then you need to learn, and learning means that you can't be as selective about the opportunities and certain things that come up. However, I think that there should be like a minimum, like a basic standard, and that really should be around what you want for yourself long term. Do you see yourself being in that organization and things like that? Once you know what you want long term, then you can then learn all the things you need. Now that's for your career. But personally, really, if you're talking about relationships, I think it's important to understand one thing. First of all, most of the ideas that we have generally are not necessarily ours. In that what I mean is that we don't necessarily care about those things. We are just taught to believe that those things are important, and then we start aspiring towards them. Do you get? So that's one thing that's important. Now, why do I think it's important? Because the first step to knowing what your standards will be is figuring out what you actually want and what you don't want. It's easy to say, oh, you want a guy who is like this and like that because you have been told. And let me give you a typical example, and maybe this will make sense, right? Everybody says, or rather, quite a number of women will say something like they would like a guy who is sensitive and who communicates, and that's great. But you have to realize that if you're not the kind of person who is generally very patient and accommodating enough to understand and listen to people who may want to talk for a long time, if you get a guy who is the ideas that are yours and the ideas that are society, your family, your friends, they expect you to date this kind of guy, they expect you to be with this kind of person, because let's not kid ourselves, right? Like everybody, we live for the validation of the people we love. So you're going to look to them and say, okay, what are they expecting of me and things like that. So that pressure can almost sort of guide you to certain things that you may not necessarily want for yourself, just because you assume that the people. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Okay, Z. Let me even first ask. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. First of all, I guess maybe the first question that comes to mind is, how do you know that list is even workable or not? That's number one. Number two, you said something about what is coming to you. How do you know what should come to you? It's a very tricky thing to decide that, and that's why I'm saying. I'm sorry.
It is, I agree with you, but
don't know for a fact if these things are, you know, what you want. You don't know that, but you're guessing, or because you have to have a guide as a person. You can't just grow up and say, oh, whoever I meet in the future I would marry, whatever job I have I would accept, you know. And I remember that even from the time where we're, you know, in university, where we're trying to graduate, you already had a mental picture that after school you're probably going to get this job in Shell or Chevron, you know, you're going to have this oil money, you're going to have, you know, maybe a driver at your disposal. And 5 years, 6 years down your career path, nothing like that is happening. Are you going to now say, okay, that because it's not happening for me, let me switch my, you know, I can't accept what I'm getting right now. I'd rather not even have a job than for me to accept maybe 100K, or let's say 50K in this job. Like, I'd rather not, like, these are not my standards, so I can't deal. Or are you going to be patient and say that, you know what, let me keep working my way to the top, which will probably be like in the next 15, 20 years. So does it mean that as a child you're not even supposed to have a mental picture of what your future should be? Is that even wrong? Are we even telling kids that, you know what, stop having like fantasies in your head, they don't exist? Is that what you're saying? Like, are we supposed to that I'm battling with? Because I honestly, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, see, let me be honest. First of all, I think that everybody should have expectations, right? You should have expectations, you should have standards. But like I keep saying, the standards that you will have, right, should be realistic. Because if you, for instance, the example you gave, if you felt that after school 5 years you should be working, those things are just simply not realistic. If you then take actions based on that, you will find that you will live in a world that is not really tethered in reality, right?
And what you said, right? I actually have a question. So I have a good friend, that we've had like series of conversation with, you know, about, you know, relationships and stuff. And her mentality or her idea about who she has always wanted to end up with is not her reality as it is right now, because the spec is not like, it's not ticking any of her boxes when it comes to physical appearances. She wants somebody, or she has always wanted somebody who is tall, and because she's a tall lady, she wants somebody who is tall and somebody who is good looking. And honestly speaking, most ladies are on this table because we want somebody who is good looking. Everybody wants somebody who is presentable, right? But as it is right now, there's somebody on her neck who is literally ready to marry her, but it's not, it doesn't just tick her boxes at all when it comes to physical appearances. It doesn't. I don't want to go into details far, but let's just say he doesn't tick any of her boxes when it comes to physical appearance. But then other things are on check. Now her concern is marriage is something that is forever, for a lifetime. You're going to wake up next to this person every day. You're going to see this person. If there's no physical attraction, there's probably not going to be a connection. So my thought is, when she gets married to this person, or she's thinking that when she gets married to this person, she's probably going to get disgusted all the time. You know, she's just going to feel like, I can't even share the same bed space with this person. You know, it's like meeting somebody for the first time. When you meet somebody, you don't know the content of the person's heart, so you can't say, oh, that I like this person because the person is smart. I can't say I like the person because the person is God-fearing. What you see is the physical. I get that you don't have to judge people based on that, but then that's the packaging. Before you get to see what are you going to advise this person to do? Because she doesn't know, like, she feels like her clock is ticking and this guy wouldn't go away, you know. But she hasn't even given him the chance to know him beyond that, because she's not in for it. The whole physical thing is just not connecting. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Okay, can I answer the question now?
Of course.
Okay, cool. So first of all, big ups to your friend for knowing what she wants. I have to be honest about that, because it's very easy for people to lie to you, or not lie to you, but make you feel bad because you know what you want, right? And they're like, right. Oh no, something shouldn't matter. See, I've realized this thing, the thing that matters to you, and there's nobody that can argue you out of it until you're ready to leave it, right? So if, for instance, marrying somebody who is tall and you know looks a certain way, or has certain physical or economic features, whatever it is, economic features. Anyways,
it's okay.
Marrying those, deciding that that's what you want. Look, if that's what you want, go for it. And that's a good thing, because that helps you to discriminate. Now, I say discriminate, meaning, or rather when I say that, what I mean really is those people that don't fall into that category, shift them to one side. And don't be doing this one good, because that's how you find yourself in a situation where you are trying to convince yourself that you want stuff that you don't actually want. So I think the first thing is one, good big ups to the babe, because she knows what she wants, right? Now, the second question is whether what she wants is really what she needs for a marriage. That one is another question entirely.
Really? What she needs?
No, but for real.
Physical appearance.
No, for real, because let me tell you what. Let me tell you something. Even gold that you buy, you must polish it from time to time, because it can tend to, have certain things that will rest on it and can take away the shine. Now, what does that mean, really? I hate to burst people's bubbles, but the fact that you're attracted to somebody today does not mean diddly squats about what's, in terms of how you're going to be, long term. Anything.
Yeah, right.
Think about, put it this way. Think about when you first bought your iPhone, the newest iPhone. If you have the iPhone 11 Pro Max or whatever it's supposed to be these days, if you have that phone, think of how you felt the day you got it, the way you charged it with respect. You respectfully just charged it. When you disconnected it, you said thank you very much. You folded the charger, put it in. It was just chassis. Everything was mad. You couldn't even throw the phone on the bed. You go and lay it on the bed beside you, put it on a pillow. But that same phone, give it like 3 or 4 months. If you're in a hurry from the bathroom, you fling it and you be like, eh. Now, what you understand from that really is, there's nothing that is new that won't become old. So if you're looking at that attraction, you see that attraction finish, you'll be tired of it. That person that's so beautiful and so good looking, you won't see it as much anymore. That's just a simple truth. If you spend enough time, you will get used to it. So there's that. So if you want to marry, or if you want to date someone, or if you want to select a partner based on that, all well and good, do it. But just realize that that thing may not necessarily be or may not be good for, or may not necessarily help to determine whether that relationship will be successful or it will be enjoyable and stuff like that. So there is that, which leads me to one thing, to ask the question, okay, so what then if what I want is a marriage, what would then make that successful? If what I want is a relationship, what would a successful relationship look like? It will be a relationship where we communicate with each other, we do this, we do that, we do that. That then is the things you will do that makes you say, oh, this relationship is successful, or the relationship with this person is successful, right? Or it's good. Those things that will make you see it and say, okay, yes, it's good. You need to write those things down. And then you need to see which one is important, knowing that some are importanter. I'm sorry to use the phrase,
honestly, though.
It's realizing that some things are heavier than others. And I'll give you a typical example. If a guy, or if your partner, if she's dating a guy and the guy is not very tall, but the guy is responsible, he's respectful, he pays attention to her, she may decide not to date him because she doesn't like short guys, and that's fine. But whoever dates that guy, I think, may have a higher chance of having an enjoyable relationship, because would you rather a guy who pays attention to you or a guy who's tall? I mean, if you have to pick between the two. So what I'm saying is, tall is good, but I think there are things that are good at, and that can help you. Now, this is important because when you have standards, you need to realize that all your standards don't carry the same weight. Some are more important than others. If you're a religious person, then there are levels of religiosity.
So you're saying it's based on priority, right? What is on the top of your list?
And yes, it depends on what you put on the top of your list, and that list is up to you. But you will have to be honest about it and say, okay, I want things like this. I want this one to be on top. You now need to ask yourself honestly, will this thing give me what I want? Because I promise you this, somebody who is physically good looking is not really that important, even for, it's good for attraction. But attraction, this is by the way, attraction is not the same thing as a connection. And a connection over time is not the same thing as an instant connection. You can like somebody because you guys like the same things. But if that person has an anger problem, it doesn't matter that you guys like the same things anymore. Because you can like the same things, but that guy can break your head. So...
And I think with age comes a different, a change in, what you want, because I remember when we were a lot younger, our lists were very, very funny looking, you know. We're all big on the whole physical thing, but right now, honestly, I am not even so big on it anymore. I'm like, let the person's head, let him just have sense, let him be correct, you know. But a younger girl is probably not thinking about that, you know what I'm saying? So we age, you realize that your priorities are changing. So yeah, like you said, it's just a matter of priority.
I'm not going. I don't agree with you on that. Too. I don't agree.
Why?
With you. I think that if you allow yourself, you know, if you allow yourself to learn from experiences, then yes, you have more experiences as you go older. Which is why people think that if you go older, you suddenly become wiser. It's not like that. It's that you have more experiences. So if you allow yourself, then you will learn from those experiences. But many people don't. And you can see people in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s, and they still have no idea what they want, or you know, what priorities matter and what, you know, doesn't matter. You see somebody
oblivious.
He has big stomach and he's jumping up and down. You're like, bros, you are supposed to have left this bus stop a long time ago. Do you get? So
true. You have a point. Actually, you have a point. Because some people are still don't have sense. Even at 40, you have a point.
And you need to understand that standards. We learn standards. We look around and say, okay, what is best, or what do most people do, and then we pick those things and those things become standards. Why? Just think about it. Why is Benz not BM the standard in Abuja? Like, honestly, when you say an Abuja guy, you say Benz. Why? I honestly don't know, but I think enough people did it, and maybe the right kinds of people did it, and other people just started following them, and then it became like a standard of. You know, it became a standard of, you know, evaluating yourself as an Abuja guy. Do you have a Benz key? Now, I don't know what Benz key is.
Benz and white kaftan.
See, please, I have white kaftan. Nobody should stain my white, please. Nobody should stain my white. Boys, whoever you are, please, invite me. Even if it's just for career day, just warm. Invite me, I'll come. Okay. Okay, but you know, jokes aside, what I'm saying is that a lot of times we don't realize that the standards are things that we learn. So you then have to sort of teach yourself to look at those standards that you have learned and say, how many of these things actually pertain to me? So for instance, me, one thing that people consider a standard is like somebody who is physically good looking. Somebody who is physically good looking is fantastic. So let's not just BS ourselves. It's great.
Appealing to the eyes, yeah.
See, man, appealing to the eyes is good, and it's important. But I keep saying, appealing to the heart is importanter. You get? You can have somebody who is beautiful to look at, but they do the kinds of things, or their characters or their behaviors are the kinds of things that you don't even want to look at them because you can't bear to bring yourself to look at them. Do you get? So if that's the case, then it really doesn't, I mean, it's good, but it doesn't necessarily matter in terms of how I pick people, you know, who I would date. I've dated somebody who was really, you know, big, and somebody who was skinny. You know, my son's mom is not very tall, you know, and things like that. So, please edit that part about my son's mom out, please. I don't want that in my shit. Anyways, yeah. But the point I'm trying to make is, when you have a list of the things that are important to you, it's good to own that list, or look at it and say, yes, this is what I want. If I want somebody who has one fat leg and one slim leg, let that be what you want. But realize that you are taking responsibility for whatever happens based on what you want. Do you get? So that you just own whatever comes out of it. Because if you have somebody who's good to look at and that person is pressing your eye, then... But now this is important, because if you don't take responsibility for your own, like the standards that you have, and you just allow other people tell you what the standards are, you'll find yourself in a situation with like certain experiences where it's not even what you wanted to do to begin with, and you're now suffering through it. You now be asking yourself that, please, I don't even want this thing self. I didn't even want it to begin with. So how did it happen? I think what I'm trying to say is, whatever you think are your standards, realize that you are entitled to keep all of those things on that list, but also know that not all those things have like the same weight in terms of what is more important. You will have to determine what is important for you, and the best way to figure that out, I feel, is like what you want for yourself at the end of the day. What is your long-term outcome? And then that helps you know, okay, this one is more important than this one. If what you want, for instance, is you see yourself in 50 years or in 30 years, and you guys have a loving relationship, and you guys maybe, whatever you envision in your mind, you now look at the people in front of you, or you look at the options that you have in front of you and say, which of those options gets me there? Somebody who is fine or somebody who has money doesn't really determine if that person is going to be family minded. And if you are family minded and what you want is, a sort of close-knit future, then that person may not be able to give it as they currently are. You can have a discussion with them, and you see if there's something they're open to, working towards. But now, the final question you asked was really, how do you determine when to let certain things go? In truth, I think letting things go, or realizing when to lower your standards or up your standards, is really a function of what you believe about yourself and what you think is achievable. I tell myself the truth, or I try to tell myself the truth, and I like to get feedback, from my friends and people who I respect in terms of what I want for myself. I say, I like this, and I hear what they have to say. What they have to say is just something I will consider, because ultimately what I will take as my final standard on that thing, whether it's my job or relationships, has to be my own. I'm not going to allow anybody to say they said. My list of standards, Aniekan's list of standards, will be things other people have said. Those people have said it because that's what they want. But I don't necessarily want what everybody wants. My own standards. It should be a function of the truth. If you genuinely believe that those things are important and that long term they will help you achieve what you want for your life, stick to it and do not compromise. Stick to it and do not compromise. We have insulted Kanye West from the beginning to the end based on who he married, what kind of music he wanted to do, how he was dressing, his friendships, all of those things, and we thought he was crazy. Today he's a billionaire, so who's laughing now? Because the guy just believed in himself and said, this is what I want for myself. So as long as you can honestly tell yourself the truth about what is important, and you can tell yourself when you are jonesing and saying, okay, this thing I'm just sleeping on why I care. As long as you can do that, whatever comes out of it, as you say, as your standard, to say, I won't accept below this thing, stay there. People will call you an idiot. People will say that, there's something wrong with you. Look at your mates and compare you to other people. Stay there, your race is different. So if you tell yourself the truth and you genuinely believe that these things are important for you long term, stay there.
Thank you so much, Aniekan. I feel like we need to wrap this up. We've exceeded our time, and I don't want this video to be very long, but I feel like you said so many wise things. I didn't think you were this wise, by the way. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Thank you for having you here. You said facts, and yeah, I think for me, what I would take away is the fact that you need to prioritize what what you want, and see that these things are going to benefit you, and you're not doing that because of other people, you're not doing that because somebody else is doing it, so, and if you feel like you cannot lower that standard, then you should stick by it, as long as it's going to be profitable for you.
You should stick by it, but make sure that you're telling yourself the truth about it, not just that you're jonesing yourself.
The truth, yeah,
a lot of people that delude themselves into saying
or you're doing it because of other people.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this session. If you did, Aniekan, can you tell them what to do, please, if they enjoyed this video?
If you enjoyed this video, wait, where's the subscribe button? Where's the like? Where's the share button?
Oh my god, it's going to be up.
Just
tell them to like.
So here or here or here or here or here or here. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, and let's continue to just learn together.
Guys, listen to it. Listen beyond the voice. I know what he does during his podcast. He's always trying to make his voice. Listen beyond the voice, guys, and take away something.
I beg you, listen. It's not just voice.
I hear you. Alright, guys. Thank you very much for sticking by. Bye.
Bye.